but like one side was cheering it on, one side was condemning it. So yeah, in the South, you walked outside and everyone was like, it was bad that happened. And then people in the North were like, it was good that happened. Or I think it's inverted. The point is, yeah, you surprised that you walked outside in like 80% Democrat New York and nobody's fighting each other? Okay, well, put on a MAGA hat like Blair White did and walk around LA and see how long it takes until they attack you, because they did. Blair got attacked, and this was years ago. So yeah, you can get attacked. I'm not saying that's proof civil war is going to happen. I think we look at what the FBI is doing, and we're like, oh, I mean, certainly the FBI going after, they just raided the home of a pro-life activist.
Right, that was crazy.
Absolutely insane. Over like, because they're like, it's the FACE Act, because you assaulted somebody who was working at an abortion clinic.
Even though the charges were